last year when I got here and started trying to kind of put my stamp on how I believe business is supposed to be done, you know, you start, as you're studying your team and you're bringing new players, you start realizing that leadership or true leadership, lack thereof, okay, was a definite problem here. And a true indicator of that is when we picked captains last year, and look, I love Dane Crest, okay, but for him to be a runaway leader, okay, as the captain of your team, when he's been there 3 days, okay, that says a lot about his character, but it also says you have a team void of leaders. So there's good news and bad news at the same time. So we've been on a year-long mission to try to rectify that and put that in a context where we could start developing leadership, inherent leadership in your team, okay, that could eventually take over your team. Because too many coaches during the game think that they have a big say in what ends up happening. But in reality, coaches' jobs are leading up to the game. That's when all your work is done. Your work starts Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday is supposed to be for the players. It's not supposed to be for the coaches. People were paying money to go watch those games to watch the players play, not to watch the coaches man the sideline. I think they should have a new rule. Coaches are never on TV. They never show video of coaches. Because really it should be about the game. And your team is never going to be any good. Never. Going to be any good unless your leaders take care of all the issues. Now, it might be something that happened on the field, like a bad play that happened, where instead of everyone complaining and moaning at somebody, where somebody says, okay, come on, let's go, next play. Or sometime when the team is a little flat, somebody besides the head coach jumping in and just getting after them. I've watched, during my career, I've watched this happen a zillion times by really natural leaders. And sometimes you're a little bit suppressed. I mean, for example, Tommy Brady's probably one of the greatest leaders that I've ever seen. But when we first got to New England, Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback. And it's really tough to be a leader when you're the fourth string quarterback, not playing at all, okay, and really no sign that you're even going to play. And, you know, a year or two later, he turns into one of the natural leaders of the franchise, and he is for several years to come. So when we voted for captains yesterday, and it was really interesting because rather than have somebody else count them, I count them because I want to see how it all plays out. And what I did a little differently this year than last year is, in addition to having them vote for somebody on their side of the ball or a specialist, if so be it, I had them vote for another wild card person. Like, who's another person on the team that you would want to lead our team? So really, every player got two votes. You know the players who voted for themselves because they were the ones who got one vote. Okay. And there were several of them, in case you're wondering. I won't give you the string of, they think that I'm dumb enough not to be able to figure that one out on my own. Okay, but it was a very clear delineation of several players that the team looks at. So what I did is I've gone back to how I originally started doing this years ago when I first got to Notre Dame. What I did is, after watching the team, we picked captains, but in addition to captains, we also had a leadership committee. And the reason for that is sometimes players don't want to go complain to the captains or bring an idea to the captains because they think that, the captains are tied to the hip with the coach, and they think that, that'll only get them in trouble. So what you do is you also, it's sort of like student government, where you have the president, vice president, and secretary and treasurers, and then you have, the representatives. So we, after looking at the vote, it was very clear without exceptions, who the team thought were the captains, and it was also clear without exceptions who the team thought were, the guys that they want representing the various positions on the team. So I'm gonna give you the captains of our team, I'm gonna give you the leadership committee as well, and then I'm leaving. And the captains are gonna come in and you talk to them. Now, the trade-off is I'm gonna come back and talk to you Friday, which I wasn't going to do, and I certainly don't want to do, okay? But that's the trade-off. Because today isn't about me answering questions, the zillion questions you want to ask me. You can ask me Friday. Okay, but that's not the message today. Today, there's a very good message that the program's headed in the right direction because the players have perceived leadership on the team. And in addition to the guys I'm mentioning, there are other players that the coaches believe have a chance to be leaders that the players don't see it that way at this point. But I really believe that you have to let the captains and the leaders be picked by their peers, because it really doesn't make a difference what I think, okay? It's what they think. So there's four captains that we're going to name, and they're going to be Jay Keeps, James Sims, Ben Heaney, and Keon Stowers. Okay, you got them all down. All four of those guys will be available to you shortly. And then you can ask them whatever questions you want, okay? But I think the theme really should be about, about being picked by their peers as being leaders. Now, the leadership committee has 9 additional people, 9. Okay, Janae Von Dyne, Christian Matthews, Tony Pearson, Pat Lewandowski, Kiva Augustino, Cassius Sendish, Dexter Linton, and Darius Willis. And the 9th person was really made me smile to see such great support for the 9th person, because some of you have heard, if you weren't in practice the other day, that one of the guys, one of the walk-ons I gave a scholarship to was Blake Jablonski. Now, here's a kid from Wichita, bleeds Crimson Blue, been in the program forever, has a role, he's our holder, and he's actually involved in some of our special teams now. About ready to graduate. Really doesn't hurt the program as far as, not having the scholarship available next year, because they'll be one, you still have the scholarship available. And when I give a walk-on a scholarship, it's only guaranteed for a year. It's not for the duration. And I watched the team as I walked away. I watched the team celebrating as I gave Blake a scholarship. I wasn't expecting when we voted for the leadership committee for him to be one of the highest vote getters. So that's kind of telling you that you're picking the right people. So the 9th person on the leadership committee will be Blake Jablonski. So Jamae, Christian, Tony, Pat, Kiva, Cassius, Dexter Linton, Darius Wills, and Blake Jablonski, in addition to the 4 captains. So I'm going to turn this over to the 4 captains, and I think that today's story is really about leadership. It's about Kansas football. If we're going to return to being a winning program, a consistent winning program, you have to have people, you have to have players that are willing to take on the responsibility of leadership. Because when it's in the 4th quarter, okay, and times are tough, okay, and somebody's got to pull it together. It's not Coach Weis yelling from the sideline that's going to get it done. It's going to be somebody saying something in the huddle that's going to get it done. And hopefully, with the number of people that got supported by our players, hopefully...
There's a lot of those guys been up there. They've been around here a while. You haven't been just the 1 year, obviously. Does it mean more to you that in that short of time you can make this kind of impact?
Yeah, I mean, it really does mean a lot to me. Probably more than anybody would ever know on the team, for people to look at me in that way on this team, and just knowing the amount of work that I put in, and it's just them recognizing that work that you put in through all this time, especially in the off year when I wasn't able to play, just continuing to work and continuing to be a guy that people can count on and lean on, and come talk to if they needed something, or, if they wanted to vent or something like that. So, it's been really fun this off season getting to work with everybody, and this is really humbling.
Now that that's in the past, how much of a role do you think you had in that capacity last year? I mean, obviously, you had to let the team, the guys playing, do their thing, but was it bigger than we know?
I can't really say that. I think, you'd have to ask the guys on the team, but, all I know is that, I was just trying to be the best team player that I could possibly be, and, be around for these guys and be there for them in any way, shape or form. Like I said, whether it was, talking to people on the sides and, encouraging them, or, helping them or whatever, and, going out there and doing the best I could on the scout team. Whatever it was, I'm just going to do whatever I could to be the best I can be.
Hey Ben, Coach Weis was just in here, and he kind of drove the point home that he thought maybe there was kind of a void of leadership when he first got here last year. Did you see that, and do you think it's changed in the last year?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Last year, like you said, there wasn't, the senior class, the leadership just, they're good players and stuff, but a little leadership was lax, and that's something we needed. And you could tell in the field last year, sometimes, there just wasn't guys picking guys up out there, and, that's something that we really want to work on this year. And, the 4 guys up here, we're going to do the best we can.
Is there something that, anybody can answer this, is there something that you guys feel like all 4 of you have in common as far as being leaders, and maybe why our teammates voted for you?
I think, the other guys can answer this too. I just, the biggest thing I think is that we're just about the team. This is a team effort, and, we're not a bunch of individuals up here. We've been all about the team the moment that we've been stepped here on this campus, and really going into this last year, what can we do to change things? And a lot of it had to do with mentality, and a lot of it had to do with, a need for leadership, and a lot of guys needed to step up, and a lot of guys were forced to take a role that they're not used to taking, and being vocal and, encouraging guys. And so, leadership, being a leader is uncomfortable, and it's not always, some people look at it as, it's a good spotlight, it's something where everybody would want to be in, but that's not always the case. So some people had to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, and I think we're all about the team, and we just want to do whatever we can to help.
James, does that describe you perfectly? You came here, freshman year, you didn't really have much to say, you weren't comfortable in this room, and now you're sitting up there in front of all of us, but also leading this team and voted by your teammates. Do you ever think you'd be in this spot?
I mean, no, I didn't think that at all. Just looking back at it, me coming in as a freshman, not really wanting to talk to the media, not really having the chance to talk to the media coming straight from high school or anything like that. So it was a big change and like a different experience for me. But I mean, it was all good though.
Keenan, what does it mean to you to be voted by your teammates to be a captain?
It means the world. It means 105 other guys, believe in me. Also, I believe in myself. Just to sit up here with these 3 guys is, it's amazing. Just to go for where I came from to be sitting here in front of you guys is a real humbling experience.
Who's the most vocal out of all you guys? I mean, we all know you're leaders, but who speaks up more?
Jake Heaton,
Jake. Jake.
That's the vocal guy right there.
He get us going.
Maybe James and Ben too, can you guys just elaborate on what Jake was talking about as far as, being a leader, being uncomfortable for you, James? You're kind of talking about that, from when you were a freshman, and Ben, in Dallas, you said you're still blown away that people even know who you are. Can you just elaborate on if that's accurate and uncomfortable for you? Not in a bad way, but.
Yeah, well, like Jake was saying, I had a pretty good year last year, and Jake recognized that. And after the year last year, it was after the very first game was over, after the last game was over, after the West Virginia game, the very next day, Jake called me in, and me and him had a talk. We talked for like 2 hours, just about what my role needs to be now. I'm not just a sophomore anymore. And I really, I need to step up, and I feel like I've done that, in the off season, yeah, it was uncomfortable at first because you know, I'm a guy that's always joking around, you know, trying to be friends, buddies with everybody on the team, and I feel like, you know, I still am, but like Jake said, it's uncomfortable to be a leader, and sometimes, you know, when you need to say something, when something needs to be said, you know, I've taken it upon myself to say those things now, instead of just sitting back and watching.
And I would say the same thing too. After the West Virginia game, you know, me and Deeps, we met up in the quarterback's room, and we were watching the film, and then he was just telling me, like, as far as this upcoming season again, is just make sure that I have to take more of a leadership role and just become more of a vocal guy, because the players on the team are gonna look up to me, you know. And I just took that in, you know, and bought into what he was saying in off season. You know, me coming in, I wasn't really the vocal type of guy. I never really just talked to everyone or anything like that. I just did my thing and just kept quiet, you know. And I just say this off season it changed a little bit, you know, just me coming in, starting to be more vocal, you know, just communicating with the team and stuff like that. And it just helped out a lot. And I'm just glad that they chose me and us as captains up there.
Jake, how many people did you have conversations like this with?
You know, actually quite a few. You know, there was, you know, you have different conversations with different guys because, you know, different guys have different roles on this team. And that's, you know, when you look at leadership, you know, sometimes you just look at, you know, maybe these 4 guys in this room. But that's not all it is. You know, there's a lot of other guys on this team that have stepped up as leaders too and may not have as big of a team leadership role, but they're leaders in their individual positions. And you know, so, you know, you want everybody to take up ownership of or feel responsibility for this team and want people to, you know, be excited about this program and feel like they have a part and have a role. And you want to get to a point where everybody feels like they're a leader. Everyone feels like they can say something because we're all in it together. That's the thing is, you know, everybody has to be in it together. So, you know, these guys obviously have major leadership qualities and guys respect them and talk to them. And even during the season, you know, I'd pull Ben or Keon or James aside and be like, hey man, you know, let's talk, let's be more vocal, you know, these guys look up to you, you guys can say stuff, and, you know, you could tell that they were more, you know, apprehensive, but, you know, once they spoke and once they were vocal, you know, they could see people's reactions and you know, gave them more confidence, and, you know, that's not a pat on the back on me, that's just being a teammate and recognizing that these guys have, you know, leadership qualities that they don't realize that they have, you know, so these guys have done an amazing job this offseason, and that's why we've come together so much as a team, more than anybody really knows, because, you know, we've all bought into what we're trying to do this year.
And to add to what Jake said, I think, you know, Jake's in a different position than the rest of us 3, because, you know, us 3 were playing last year, and Jake didn't get to play, so, you know, Jake was sitting back, you know, watching and, you know, seeing, you know, what changes need to be made on the team. And that's why he really came up to us and, you know, told us, like, you guys need to, you know, step up, because he saw the lack of leadership last year. And I think it's really helped us out.
How different is it to hear that from a teammate as opposed to a coach, you know, or a position coach? You know, a lot of times that kind of conversation comes from a head coach and saying, hey, you need to step up. But how different was it for you guys to hear it from a teammate and a different leader like that?
Well, you know, Coach Weis has always been, you know, honest, and me, you know, that, you know, as a playmaker, you know, as a guy that was making plays last year, you know, guys are going to look up to you, and, you know, Jake said the same thing, and,
So you got it from both?
yeah, you know, it comes from coaches as well as players.
To add what Dan was saying, and to add to your question, you know, just to hear it coming from a player, it's different. You know, when you hear from a coach, it's sort of like a parent or a father figure, you know, coming down on you, telling you got to do better. But when it's coming from one of your buddies that you see, you know, in the laundry room, you see in the dorms, you see in the lunchroom, you know, it sticks with you more because those are the guys that's out there in between the lines. You know, the coaches they're gonna tell you, you know, you got to get after. They're gonna have the headset, but when it's coming from a guy that you're lining up beside, or a guy that, you know, you're cheering on while he's out there on the other side of the ball, you know, it resonates with you better.
Did he call you in to Jake?
No, but we've had our fair share of talks.
Jake, Coach Weis has said several times that it's tough to be a leader when you're not the guy out there actually on the field. Was it tough for you last year? I mean, ultimately, you couldn't be out there and be part of what was going on out
Yeah.
in the field, but was it tough to kind of get that going last year?
You know, I think it really taught me a lot of lessons, you know, about leadership and, you know, different kinds of leadership. I've always been the type, the vocal type, the guy that always take the reins and, you know, I'm a perfectionist and I like things done a certain way and all that. But, you know, for me to have to take a step back, you know, and really just be a supportive teammate and be, you know, just a guy to be there for other guys on the team, really taught me a lot and really just showed me that, you know, every day you have to be able to come in and work every day, be the same guy every day, don't change, and be there for your teammates and you know, and then that leadership, that the vocal stuff will come with that. And so, you know, it really didn't bother me as far as not being able to say anything because I knew my role as a team. I knew that there was other captains, other leadership there at the time. But, you know, I think the guys looked at me in the same way as everybody else. And, you know, I may not have been as vocal, but, you know, I was just there to support my teammates, and it's really helped me a lot.
Keelan, how did you guys find out? Was there a ceremony? Was there something in the locker room where Coach announced that you guys were the quote-unquote winners of the captains?
It was actually today after practice. When he called everybody up. We voted, was it yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, we had a team vote during the team meeting, passed out a slip, and we voted like that. And today after practice, he called us out. So that was pretty cool.
What was the reaction? Some of us saw the reaction for Blake when he learned to get a scholarship the other day. And did you guys get water thrown on you and jumping up and down like he did?
We didn't get all that. I was kind of disappointed. But it was cool though. It was, you know, guys clapping up. We heard a lot of congratulations, and you know it really means a lot, you know, just to be voted on by the team. So it's really cool.
Ben, there's so many new guys on this team. You guys are going to be playing big roles. How important is it for you guys to kind of bring everybody together and make sure there's no old versus new or anything like that in the locker room?
It's really important, and you know, that's something that, you know, we worked a lot on during the summer too, because a lot of guys came in during the summer and started working out with us. You know, we worked out every day together besides Sundays. So we were with each other, you know, the whole summer, and I mean, I'm still with these guys. I'm getting sick of these guys, honestly. But you know, we still have a couple guys, you know, that aren't here yet, and when they get here, we're gonna do the same thing and just mold them to, you know, run with the pack.
Any other questions?
Were you guys also captains on your high school team? Any of you the first time you've been a captain?
I was a captain.
I was a captain as well.
Just one more. Can you just talk about this leadership committee real quick, somebody? I mean, obviously they have a role and that's important too. How do you anticipate you guys and that committee,
Well,
kind of working together?
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and it goes into, you know, what I said earlier as far as it's not just us four being leaders on this team and being the, you know, team leaders and captains, and that's what you know, this designates us as. But there's other leadership roles on this team, and that's what, you know, there's different stages of leadership, and you know, you need to have those guys, and that's what that leadership council is. That's that second group. And that may be, you know, hey, you might not want to go talk to coach, or you may not want to talk to us as captains. But maybe one of those guys in your position group is someone on the leadership council that you feel comfortable with, that you can go talk to them about, you know, issues or things that you have a problem with, and then they can approach us or approach coach. And, you know, it's a great way to go about things so that you have so you're covering the whole team, you know, and you have, you know, different ways to help everybody out. And be there for each other, and that's just another extension of that. And, you know, with that being said, you know, these guys, you know, coach said it to us out there on the field. You know, he said if there was 13 guys to designate as leaders last year, I don't know if he could, you know, he said I don't know if he could find it, but I think that just goes to show how much this team has really bought into what we're doing, how much we've come together, and, you know, how much, you know, we really are passionate and love what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish this year. And, you know, this team definitely has a different feel to it, you know, when you walk around on and off the field, you know. So, you know, I'm very excited about this team and the chemistry we have.